Hello and welcome to the Royal Docks Buckeyes postgame show. The Roadman, Kenny Roda, here with you and looking forward to this. We are excited about this and thrilled that we are brewed by Royal Docks Brewing Company. They have jumped on board with us as one of the sponsors for this show, as they are big Ohio State fans, and everybody should be happy with what they saw today. Was it perfect? No, but it was the first game for the Buckeyes since, well, the loss to Clemson. That's the last time that Ohio State played a football game. And we were worried that they might not even be playing any football games this year. There was going to be a season, then there wasn't going to be a season, and now there is a season. And so the Buckeyes were on the field, and I'm hearing, what am I hearing in the background there? There we go. I'm hearing Paul Keels in the background there. Sorry about that. That's the man, though, the myth, the legend, Paul Keels. But everybody should be excited, should be thrilled that they played football today. The Buckeyes started slow, finished strong, and got a 52-17 win over Nebraska. And so what we're going to do, and this is the first post-game show of the year, so what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to join us on Facebook, on Twitter, with your questions, your comments, and I will respond to them. And as I guess we get this moving along throughout the year, you can see my ugly mug on the screen right now. We're going to be able to invite some guests onto the show, and maybe even some listeners / callers or viewers onto the show as we progress throughout the year. So for today, I want your thoughts, your comments, your questions about the Buckeyes following this season opening 52-17 win over Nebraska. I've got a lot of mine that I'm going to give you, okay? And there's good, there's bad. And we're going to talk about all of the above. The biggest good, though, is 52-17, the final, right? That's the most important thing in all of this. The Buckeyes won. Look at some of the other teams that played early games this year. Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, they all have losses already. The Buckeyes, yes, it was a benefit to them to be at home for their first game. A lot of new faces on the defensive side of the ball, in the backfield running the ball for the Buckeyes. So it was good to have that first game at home. And so the Buckeyes got a lot of game reps, game experience for players that now will need to step into their roles, into the spotlight, and become, hopefully, the next Chase Young, right? The next Damon Arnett. The next, I don't know. Who else do you want to throw in there? Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Michael Thomas. They say at Ohio State they don't rebuild, they reload. Well, they're good. They're one of the top 3 teams in the country. They were ranked number 5 coming into this game without playing a game. To me, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and who that 4th team is, I'm not sure. But there are still some question marks coming into this game. No doubt about it. And so we're going to get into all of that, see who stepped up, who looked good today, who, I don't want to say surprised you, but maybe caught your eye. And take your questions with the comments in the comments section. So if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, hit me up with any questions, any comments that you might have, and we'll answer as many of them as we can. All right, I'm going to pull out my sheets. I do it the old-fashioned way. I just write them down. I'm old-fashioned that way. It's the way I like it. What can I say? Let's see here. What are we going to start with? Let's start with the good for the Buckeyes, right? Let's start with who looked good, who played well, who didn't play well. Okay, but we'll start with the good. Justin Fields. Almost a perfect day for Justin Fields. 20 of 21, 276 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and the only incompletion he threw today was a dropped touchdown pass by Chris Olave. Now, Olave got hit, could have held on to the ball, didn't hold on to the ball. Might have gotten hurt on that play. He comes back later, might have a concussion as he caught a ball and then fumbled it and left the game. So a drop ball and a fumble by Olave, okay, fine. that happens in the game. Now, well, I want him to be healthy for next week's game against Penn State. But the only incompletion today for Justin Fields was the drop touchdown pass to Chris Olave. He could have been 21 for 21 and 3 touchdowns. Instead, he's 20 for 21 for 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he adds a third touchdown by running one in on the ground. So 15 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown for Justin Fields on the ground. So he totals total offense for Justin Fields 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. 320 and 3 touchdowns in his first game this season. Nice statement there. Puts him in the running for the Heisman Trophy right there. I don't care what Trevor Lawrence has done to this point. All right, that's an opening statement by Justin Fields. Now, the one thing I will say about Ryan Day, and I love what Ryan Day is doing as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I really do. But why was Justin Fields in there late in that fourth quarter? Takes a hit that he shouldn't have taken. Didn't Ryan Day learn last year, Penn State? This guy, you're only going to go as far as Justin Fields takes you. He is one of the best players in college football. He is your best player. You need him to have a chance to win the Big Ten, to beat Michigan. Well, maybe not to beat Michigan, but to win the national championship, right? You get a lead like this, and I know it's the first game and you want to get reps, but just let him hand the ball off in those situations if you're going to have him in there. You don't need him dropping back in a blowout, throwing the ball still. You don't want him hurting his knee, which we saw last year against Penn State, which in turn might have cost them the national championship because he wasn't as mobile against Clemson. That's on Ryan Day from last year and today. Get him out of the game, get your backups in, get them some reps in case they have to come in, especially at quarterback. All right, enough of that. But Justin Fields, tip of the cap to you. Cheers. You know what? I need to get me a Royal Docks Brewery glass so we can do our cheers after every game to the players that deserve a raise of the glass. So we'll work on that, okay? So Justin Fields, definitely great start to his senior season, his final season as a Buckeye. Garrett Wilson. If Justin Fields is going to be a quarterback in the National Football League, and he is, Garrett Wilson is going to be a top-flight receiver in the National Football League. To me, and I said this on the Kenny and JT show, and you can watch and listen to us online at WHBC.com and listen at 1480 AM. To me, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are the best 2 wide receivers in the country. That tandem, by far, the best tandem in the country, and they may be the best 2 wide receivers in the country. And all Garrett Wilson did today was 7 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Number 5, if you're not sure between number 5, Garrett Wilson, number 2, Chris Olave. And Chris Olave, why did he switch to number 2? He likes the nickname CO2. Okay, whatever. If it works for him and he catches 50, 60 balls and Wilson catches 50, 60 balls, I don't care what numbers they wear. But Garrett Wilson's 5, Olave's 2. Garrett Wilson 7 for 129 and a touchdown. Chris Olave, before he had to leave the game, 6 catches, 104 yards, no touchdowns. He did drop one in the end zone, and he did fumble once. So he's got to clean that up. But those receivers, Studley, cheers to both Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Tommy Togiai, number 72 nose tackle. He's going to be playing in the National Football League. Tommy Togiai, a disruptor in the middle of that defensive line. I noticed him today on a defense that needs some work. And Daniel Davis hit me up with a comment here in our comment section. Defense needs work and O-line. And I agree with you, Daniel. The defense, the quarterbacks who run the football give the Buckeyes fits. And I wrote it down here. QB runs hurt OSU. McCaffrey, 47-yard run. Martinez, 39-yard run. McCaffrey, 14-yard QB draw. Martinez, 11-yard QB draw. So that's an area. You're right, Daniel. The defense definitely needs work. The secondary and the defensive line needs work. We'll get to that a little later. But I thought Tommy Togiai had a nice game inside. Also, I mean, you've got to single out Haskell Garrett for a number of reasons. How about this? Haskell Garrett's a defensive tackle. He's number 92. In the offseason, he got shot in the face. Did you hear on the broadcast? He got shot in the face, and it went through, I guess, one cheek and out the other. And he played today. He played in the opener today. And not only did he play, he wreaked havoc in the backfield. He had at least one sack, maybe two. So the defensive line, and we talk, Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, you go down the line and everything of all the guys that are now in the NFL. Haskell Garrett and Tommy Togiai on the inside. They're not the outside rushers that Bosa and Young and those guys were, but these guys up the middle, that's a good sign. Great sign, as a matter of fact. So, tip of the cap, cheers to Haskell Garrett and Tommy Togiai. And Zach Harrison, I saw him today. How could you miss him? 6'6", 265. He's number 9 on the defensive line. He's the defensive end. Keep an eye on number 9, Zach Harrison, throughout the year. Also, got to give a shout out, a tip of the cap, a cheers to Jackson Smith Njigba, true freshman out of Texas. He looked like Lynn Swan on that touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. How he climbed the ladder, went up for the ball, and one foot was out of bounds, but it was in the air. He got the other foot inbounds on the ground to complete the catch, touchdown. Jackson Smith Njigba, number 11, true freshman. Wow. That may have been the catch of the game, without question. First career touchdown catch. First of many touchdown grabs by Jackson Smith Njigba, number 11. Tip of the cap. Cheers to you, Jackson. Just call him Jackson. It's a lot easier. Let's see here. One more. I got Still Chambers. I wasn't impressed with the running game. Master Teague didn't look good. I know he scored 2 touchdowns, but he didn't look good. Who's the other running back? Hold on. Let me get my depth chart here. I'm learning some of these new guys here, just like you are. Trey Sermon, the transfer, was not impressed with him. Takes him too long to get going, man. Way too long to get going. I know it's the first game. I might be a little harsh on that, but not impressed with it, okay? Who I was impressed with in his short time on the field today, number 22, Still Chambers. How awesome is that name? What's your name? Still Chambers. That's an awesome name, isn't it? Absolutely. At running back, number 22, I'd like to see more of him. He showed a burst in that third quarter when he played. I mean, he got the ball, was decisive, and you saw that first step that I don't see out of Master Teague, that I don't see out of Sermon. That first step, boom, 4 rushes, 32 yards. To me, he looked the best of all the running backs in the game today for Ohio State. So that's the way, I'm seeing it there with the running back. So tip of the cap, we raise our Royal Docks Brewing Company glass to Haskell Garrett, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, Still Chambers, Tommy Togiai, Zach Harrison, Jackson Smith Njigba, and Chris Olave. All right, let's get to some of your thoughts and your comments, your questions on this. And you can send them through Facebook as well as on Twitter. Adam Cerny checking us out. What's up, Adam? Go Bucks, on my way home from work. And Scotty Merck checking us out as well. So Scotty Merck, thumbs up. Yeah, Bucks started slow, looked good, Adam. Got the first one under their belt. Again, final score 52-17. Frank Salona checking us out before he gets to go do the game tonight between East Cleveland Shaw and Northwest on WHBC. It's a playoff game that we have for everybody on WHBC, so go give that a listen. Thanks, Frank, for handling the sideline duties tonight. In a year that no defense will be played in college football, 17 points is like a shutout. That's a great, you know what, Frank? That's a great comment. That really is. I mean, Nick Saban, they were talking about it on the broadcast. Nick Saban, he knows that, in college football, you've got to be able to, in a high-scoring game, outscore the opposition. Defenses need to come up with stops here and there, get some turnovers, and the Buckeyes had a scoop and score today and everything. But it's all about scoring points, man. And you've got to be able to outscore the Clemsons, the Oklahomas, the Alabamas, the LSU. Go Tigers. Tigers are struggling right now. Coach Orgeron, I hope you enjoyed last season. You ain't winning a national championship this season. But yeah, Frank, that's a great comment from you. It really is. It's if you're trying to win a national championship, if you can keep the opposition in that 17 to 21 point range with the offense the Buckeyes have, that Clemson has, that Alabama has, then you're doing very well on defense. You really are. All right, let's get some questions in here on Twitter. And if you want to, you can find me on Twitter at the Kenny Roda or at 1480 WHBC on Twitter. You can send in your questions there. Here's a tweet from Shalai Guy 6969 Hess. He says, Ryan Day just made a lot of bettors who took Ohio State very happy. Yeah, that last touchdown for the Buckeyes covered the spread. So if you bet the Buckeyes and you gave the points like I told you to on the Kenny and JT show, that last touchdown made you some money. So I guess the bettors want to give a tip of the cap and a raise of the Royal Docks Brewing Company glass to Ryan Day for not taking a knee there and allowing his backup quarterback to get in the end zone for the first time. So great point there. And have if you want some money today because you listen to the Kenny and JT show, if you see me at Royal Docks Brewing Company, buy me a beer. Let's see here. Mike Luck responding on Twitter. I questioned Ryan Day having Justin Fields in there that late. And Mike Luck agreed with me, says, Roadman, 100% agreed. I was yelling at the TV and don't like running up the score on somebody at the end of the game, take a knee, bad karma. No, Mike, you're wrong. Cover the spread. It's okay in the first game of the pandemic season if you're playing your backups to let them take the snap, run the football, and get experience, but not with your starters. If the starters are in there in that last possession and they try and score, I agree with you, that's running up the score. But it was the backup quarterback, I have no problem with it, and it covered the spread. But having Justin Fields in there that late the previous drive and trying to throw the football, you got to get him out there or get him out of the game because you don't want him getting injured in that situation. Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Great. Okay. What people are asking about the targeting calls. I thought there were 3 targeting calls that should have been made in the game. I thought Olave, when he fumbled, actually took a forearm to the neck and helmet area. Now, that's not helmet-to-helmet targeting, but that's a shot to the neck, above the neck, and I think it caused him to fumble the football. I thought that should have been targeting. The other 2 that were actually called, and there were 2 players ejected for Nebraska, I thought 1 out of the 2 was targeting and the other was questionable. So what I think they need to do in college football is this. I think they need to come up with, somehow, some way, come up with 2 different targeting calls. One that is an automatic ejection, personal foul, 15 yards. The other that is a 15-yard penalty, but not an ejection, but it's your first strike. And if you have another targeting call that is viewed and reviewed, and it's not deemed launching and a full go, you get ejected for a second one. I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough. Try again here. There should be one targeting call that is no doubter. He launched, it's helmet to helmet, boom, yes, he tried to basically decapitate the player, and it's 15 yards, you're ejected. If there is contact to the helmet, but it's because the player ducks and the shoulder comes up or something like that, okay, it's still a shot to the head, personal foul, but it's not an automatic ejection. You get 2 of those, and then you're ejected. All right, they need to do something with this. It cost the Buckeyes in the national championship game last year with Sean Wade. It did. Changed the game in that national championship game when he got tossed. So college football needs to do a better job with the targeting rule and figuring that out. They really do. Let's see, what else do we have here? Questions coming up We'll get to that one in a second. I want to get to this one here. Matt Mackin says Nebraska was headhunting, Roadman. I don't know. I thought that initially, and then I saw the replays on a couple of them, then I thought, no, maybe not. But I can understand when you see it live, yeah, it looks like they were headhunting, Matt. But after the replays on a couple of those, you go, well, maybe they weren't. That's a tough call. It's a tough call. What else do we have here? Roadman, what's up with the running game? Wasn't impressed today. Neither was I. And let me pull up the final stats on my phone here as we look at this. Running the football for the Buckeyes today. It's not good because they don't want to run Justin Fields. We heard it throughout the entire broadcast. They don't want to run Justin Fields a lot. They really don't. They can't get him hurt. So when you look at the running game, Trey Sermon, 11 carries, 48 yards, 16 was his long, 4.4 average. I wasn't impressed at all with Trey Sermon today. Master Teague, 12 carries, 41 yards, 3.4 yard average, 2 touchdowns. He did get in the end zone. Wasn't impressed with him today either. Steele Chambers, 4 carries, 32 yards. I liked what I saw out of Chambers the most. I really did. He impressed me the most of the running backs. And then Justin Fields today led the rushing attack with 54. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. If we're talking against Michigan, Big Ten championship game, playoff game, national championship game, okay, you got to run Justin Fields in those games to win those games. But early in the season, you don't want him taking unnecessary hits because you're not going to win without Justin Fields. You're just not. I mean, let's be honest. I'm being honest with you. Jack Miller III came in as the backup quarterback, a freshman, 6'3", 215 out of Scottsdale, Arizona. If he has to come in and play, you're not beating Clemson, Alabama, maybe Wisconsin, Michigan. You're not. So you've got to keep Justin Fields healthy, and that means less runs and more throws. Now, I understand today because the running game stunk, outside of him running the ball in Steele Chambers, he probably took it upon himself too often to run the football. I will say this, two times. Again, tip of the cap to Ryan Day and the Buckeyes offense. 4th and 1, under center, quarterback sneak. What a great idea. How many times do we see it in college football? It's 4th and 1, teams are going for it, and they put their quarterback back in the shotgun, and they get stopped. At least Ryan Day, and he did it last year too, and Justin Fields, he went to that, what do you call it, an all-plant diet in the offseason, lost about 15 pounds. He's buff and strong and everything like that. Justin Fields, 6'3", 215, 220, under center, take the snap. You go to the right, you go to the left. You get the 1 yard. Don't snap it back 6 yards to get 1 yard, which is a total of 7 yards. So I like the fact that he was under center, and I'm okay with the QB sneaks on that. So, yeah, the running game, they did run for 215 yards, 4.5 yard carry, 4 touchdowns, but was not impressed with it. All right? Let's see here. Some more questions coming in via Twitter. Keep them coming, again, on Twitter as well as on Facebook. Let's see here. Roadman, what didn't you like in today's game? Well, we talked about the running game, and I've got my sheet here. Bad OSU today. We talked a little bit about this earlier, and that is quarterback runs hurting Ohio State's defense. They got to work on that. They've got to clean that up. Couple of blown coverages today. I know it's the first game, and a lot of new guys are in there. I got to find my sheets. I wrote down. Here we go. On defense, think about this. These guys are all gone to the NFL or graduated, okay? In the secondary, Jordan Fuller, Jeffrey Okudah, Damon Arnett, all playing on Sundays in the National Football League. So 3 guys, 3 starters gone from the secondary. The only returning starter, Sean Wade, and Proctor, who had a fumble recovery, number 41, got playing time last year as well. So Kerry Combs has his work cut out for him as the defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach, okay? So the secondary is going to need work. That was one of my biggest question marks coming into this season. Defensive line. You've lost Chase Young, Devontae Hamilton, Jay Sean Cornell, and Robert Landers from last year. So now we mentioned some of the guys that had decent games. Haskell Garrett, Tommy Togiai, and Zach Harrison today. Those guys, they need their reps, and they're going to take, they're going to have their ups and downs. And so what you hope is by the time you get, well, I shouldn't say that. You want them to be good next week on the road at Penn State. To me, that's going to be your toughest regular season game next week. So you hope they learn some in this game to be better next week. But you hope by the end of the season, that Michigan game, Big Ten championship game, college football playoffs, that these guys have found themselves, gained the experience, are going to be better in week 8, 9, 10, and 11 than they are in week 1, which is only natural. But secondary, defensive line were question marks for me. Running back was a question mark for me coming in. And special teams, was not thrilled with DeMario McCall. He had 2 bad decisions today on kickoff returns. He fumbled a fair catch. He ran another one for only 10 yards. That's something that has to get better for the Buckeyes. And the O-line, now I know Justin Fields tends to hold the ball a little bit too long. Hopefully it comes out more quickly this year. But still, he had 31 sacks last year and 3 or 4 more sacks today. So that's gotta get better. And the bad OSU, 2 injuries. I don't know Wyatt Davis, who returned, who was going to leave for the NFL and then came back. Wyatt Davis limped off the field at 2:15 of the third quarter. And Chris Olave left the game. Possible concussion, don't know. Got to check social media here. He left with 19 seconds left in the third quarter. So that was the bad that I saw today. Again, coming into this contest, my concerns were secondary, D-line, running back, special teams return game. My no-worry players or no-worry positions coming into the game, Justin Fields at quarterback, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave at wide receiver, and Sean Wade in the secondary. So those guys I knew would play well, and Wade almost had an interception today and played well. Olave, again, dropped touchdown, he was hit hard. Fumble, he was hit hard. So 2 miscues there, but, there was contact involved there. But Garrett Wilson, he's going to be playing on Sundays big time. Garrett Wilson is going to be a big-time player in the National Football League on Sundays. So let's get some more questions in via Twitter, and I want to check in on Facebook to see the comments that we have here. And again, spread the word on this. We're going to do this after every Ohio State game, all right? Every time the Buckeyes play next week, it's a 7:30 start in Happy Valley. So whenever that game ends, we'll have the Royal Docks Brewing Company postgame show. So you can join us each and every week for Buckeyes Talk after the game here on Facebook and on Twitter. So let's get some questions in from the people checking us out on Facebook. We appreciate that very much. And you can spread the word that people can send us in. Another question about the targeting calls. What do you think of the targeting calls today, Roadman? Again, toughest call in college football to make right now. And I thought they got one wrong where they didn't call it on Olave. They got one right, and then one was questionable. So they need to figure that out better in college football. David Richardson and Timothy M. Smith are checking us out today. Timothy and David, we appreciate that. Appreciate the question there as well. Another question coming in. Roadman, what can the Buckeyes do to better protect Justin Fields? Well, number one, we talked about him holding the ball too long, trying to make that big play all the time. I'd like to see him get rid of it sooner. But you just need that offensive line to gel. I mean, this was the first game. I didn't expect it to be perfect. In fact, I sent out a tweet today that said I wasn't surprised that Nebraska went down and scored on the opening drive. I go back to the national championship game when they beat Oregon, Marcus Mariota. Oregon went right down the field and scored. Why? Well, the speed of Oregon's offense at the time, the Buckeyes tried to practice for that, but you couldn't. You don't get a real feel of it until you get live game speed, live game action. And then after that, the Buckeyes shut down Oregon. Well, Nebraska today, they go down the field on the opening drive and score, take a 7-0 lead. Oh, my God, what's going on? Oh, God, what am I seeing things right? What? Yeah, it happens. Okay, that was the first live action from an opponent that defense saw. They adjusted. They gave up 17 points, but as one of our viewers, Frank Salona, said, 17's not bad in today's college football game. So that didn't surprise me. I like the adjustments. You look at this team, but I don't know. If they give up 17 or less, they'll win every game. You get into the 20s, low to the mid to high 20s, okay, then it's going to be a battle. You give up 30, can they beat teams if they give up 30? Yeah, because they can score 35 and 40. So that's where I need Justin Fields to get rid of the football quickly. Don't take the sacks, which, takes you out of field goal range or forces you to punt. Okay? So it's game one. I don't want to overreact to too much. The things that I saw today, I expected some. Others I didn't expect. I expected Fields to play well. He did. I expected Wilson to be a stud. He was. Olave to have a big game. He did, even though he fumbled. He dropped one. I expected Wade to play well in the back end of the secondary. He did. I guess the one position that I really was a little disappointed in today, I think I got something in my eye. I've been having a flying around here all day. And so, and he landed, and I don't know if I got one of his wings in my eye or something, whatever. Anyways, I was disappointed in the linebacker play today. I really was. I guess I shouldn't be, because 2 years ago, the linebackers were terrible, right? And I expected more, though, out of Tuff Borland, Baron Browning, and Pete Werner. But I don't know if they're going to be the linebackers we're used to seeing at The Ohio State University. And I hate to say it this way. You don't want to get negative. It's a win and all of that. But it's like those guys, a couple of those guys, Werner and Borland, seems like they've been there as long as JT Barrett was there. And I couldn't wait for the next group of quarterbacks to get the opportunity after JT Barrett. I'm kind of feeling that way about the linebackers too, but they're the most experienced players on the defense outside of Sean Wade. So I don't know. The linebacker play has to be better. Coverage breakdowns today with the linebackers. Quarterback draws got faked out with the linebackers. The Buckeyes offense is going to win them this championship this year if they win it. They're going for a fourth consecutive Big Ten championship. It's never been done before, I believe, in the history of the Big Ten. Outright. Fourth consecutive outright Big Ten championship. That's what they're going for. Steve, I got to give credit there. Steve Hellwagon gave me that stat from bucknuts.com. If you're a Buckeye fan, bucknuts.com. Go check it out. It's awesome. Great coverage. Along with 11 Warriors, they do a great job, and Letterman's Row, and Tim May and all the guys. Columbus does a great job covering the Buckeyes. But Bucknuts, I've been big fans of Bucknuts for many, many years, and Steve Hellwagon. But he gave me that nugget. But if they're going to win that Big Ten they're going to beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, and win the national championship, it's going to be because of their offense. Their defense doesn't have, other than Sean Wade, a first-round caliber player yet. There's no real playmakers on that defense yet. So with that in mind, the offense is going to have to get it done. The offense is going to have to average what they averaged last year, 47 points a game last year, 52 today. They're going to have to average 45 a game and hit that every game and not have like a 70-point game and then a 28-point game. You know what I mean? So hit 45 and above every game. And I think it's possible in the passing game. I really do. All right, some more questions. David Richardson. Hey, Kenny, looking at the schedule, do you think not having a bye week will help or hurt OSU? David, I never thought about that. Because this is a condensed schedule, condensed season, right? Because of COVID and the pandemic season. injuries are the only real thing that I think that can derail the Buckeyes. Okay? COVID cases, if somebody comes down with COVID and has to be quarantined and can't play in a big game, Justin Fields, more specifically, or injuries to Justin Fields, more specifically, as well as an Olave or, a Wilson on offense. That, from that standpoint, a bye week could hurt them. Not getting that week off, maybe to have somebody heal from a concussion. Perfect example. Let's hope Olave, it isn't a concussion. If it is, he might have to sit out next week. So not having a bye week somewhere along the way, it could affect the team that way. But I really believe that. For me, I believe that there are three ways the Buckeyes can lose and not get to, in my opinion, the college football playoffs and win the national championship. Number one, if they beat themselves. They have a 5-turnover game on the road somewhere and don't take somebody seriously, okay? Lack of focus. And if Ryan Day, if you haven't seen the hype video, go to WHBC.com, Kenny JT show page. We put the hype video up, and Ryan Day's speeches are phenomenal. Champs or chumps, right? 39th practice, and we're going to find out your preparation. Are you going to be a champ or are you going to be a chump? So we got their attention with that. He talked about, while there were only, 1,500 fans in the stands. The spirit is here, those fans. You've got to visualize that those fans are up in the stand. Go watch the video. I can't do it justice. Go to WHBC.com, Kenny JT show page, and watch the OSU hype video. Ryan Day's phenomenal. But anyways, here's how the Buckeyes can lose and not win a national championship. If they don't take somebody seriously, an injury, and COVID, right? You don't take somebody seriously, you go on the road, you turn it over, and it's a surprising loss. Think Iowa, think Purdue, all right? Somebody gets hurt that's a key member. Justin Fields, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Sean Wade in the back end, whoever, that's another way. And then and this isn't an injury, it's a COVID situation, if somebody comes down with it or a number of guys come down with it and they can't play. And that's a possibility. So, and that goes, and it's in that hype video, that goes to Ryan Day challenging his players mentally to not break protocol, not go out, on a Friday night or a Saturday night after the game, or go over to your girlfriend's house, right? Or go hang out with 5 of your buddies. No, you stay quarantined almost in an Ohio State bubble, if you will, so you don't come down with the Rona and give it to your teammates, and then all of a sudden you got 10 guys that are out that can't play. So, again, they lose focus, take somebody lightly, turn it over 4 or 5 times in a game. One way I think they can lose. 2, injury to a key player, mainly Justin Fields. 3 would be because of COVID. All right, some more questions that are coming in here. Craig Easterday is checking us out. What's up, Craig? What did Frankie say about the targeting? Frankie was my golden retriever, Frankie. Where's he at? Well, you can only, if I adjust this, I think you can only see part of him. See him down there? There he is. That's what he was doing most of the game today, Craig. He was napping on the couch with me. I wasn't yelling so much today as I was sitting there taking notes and trying to enjoy the game. Okay? So he wasn't barking up too much of a storm, and I had taken him out, right, at the right times before the game, at halftime, and as soon as we're done here, we'll take him out. I fed him half his dinner now to keep him, occupied, if you will, and not having his stomach grumbling and moaning and groaning for more food. So I take care of Frankie, and Gonzo the cat's floating around here somewhere too as we broadcast from home with these questions and everything. So, yeah, so the dog was okay today because I wasn't out there yelling. I wasn't out there screaming my head off and everything along those lines. So some more questions that are coming in here as I'm trying to get to everybody. Let's see here. Roadman, here's another question. Roadman, what do you think about Ryan Day's decision to play? They might not have tuned in early to play Justin Fields late like he did today. I wasn't happy with it. I was not happy with it at all. Didn't like it at all. I thought he should have been out of the game, or if you're putting him in that game, you can't have him throwing the football. You just can't. You can't have him throwing the football. You can't put him in harm's way. You can't have him back there taking unnecessary hits. You just can't. So, yeah, I mean, I go back to last year watching that Penn State game late. Remember the one play? Fields rolls out and he hurts his knee and he had to wear a brace from that point on. Fast forward to the national championship chase, playoffs, Final Four. Justin Fields wasn't 100%. And I know people don't want to hear it, but I'm going to put the blame on Ryan Day for not getting him out of that game early enough like he should have. So, yeah, I didn't like the fact that he was in there. But, like I said, they survived it today. Hopefully he won't do that again in a blowout game. Get him out. And I know you want to get him stats and everything. Come on. He was 20 of 21 at that point for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns, throwing 1 on the ground. It's enough to put him in the Heisman race after one game. He gets hurt, there's no Heisman race. So build the big lead, then get your backup quarterback in there in case something happens to him, right? Get him some playing time. Eddie Cross asking, hey, bro, why the long face? That's not, well, naturally, Eddie, I have a long face, okay? It's just that way. That's the way I was born. That's the way God made me, okay? So naturally, I have a long face. But also, Justin Fields, I don't want to see him put in harm's way. 15 carries is too many carries in a game for me. For the opener against the Nebraska team, you shouldn't have had to run him that much. And then to have him in there late in the game like that, Eddie, throwing the football, it's fine. Takes the snap, he hands off. Takes the snap, pitches it. But throwing the football that late in the game, no. I don't want him throwing the football when you're up 28 points. No, thank you. Bigger fish to fry, bigger games to play. Keeping him healthy is mucho importante for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So that's why I had kind of the long face. Let's see, what else do we want to throw out here before we check Twitter one more time. We told you the good, the bad. Next week, 7:30, Penn State, Nittany Lions. I'm going to get off here shortly. I want to go watch some other football games. I want to go see. Oh, you know what? Let me check right now. Hold on. Let me pull it up on my phone and get some scores here. We'll pass along some scores to you for those of you that are still tuned in with us. We appreciate it very much. Let's see here. Alabama leads Tennessee 7-0. Penn State. Buckeyes are in Happy Valley next week. Penn State on the road at Indiana. Penn State's ranked 8th in the country. They lead Indiana in the first quarter 7-0. And then coming up tonight, 7:30, Michigan 16th, I believe, in the country. 16th or 18th. At Minnesota, who's 21st. That's 7:30 on ABC. I'll be looking forward to watching that game. But I want to go watch some Penn State here to get a scouting report on them to see what the Buckeyes are up against next week. Again, 7:30 kickoff. You can listen to it right here on WHBC. We'll have all the games for you all season long on WHBC. We'll talk about it on the Kenny and JT show Monday through Friday between the hours of 3 and 7 p.m. We'll talk Buckeyes. We had Paul Keels on last week talking about it and previewing the Ohio State Buckeyes. Steve Hellwagon from Bucknuts.com is on with us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, giving you the latest, the injury updates, and the preview for the game. We'll have it covered when it comes to Ohio State. And we'll hear from Ryan Day throughout the week, too, from the press conferences there. But next week, big game, toughest game on the regular season schedule other than Michigan at the end of the year. Penn State next week on the road. That's the biggest challenge for them, in my opinion. When I looked at the schedule, when I pulled it up and I said, all right, let's see here. Because you always play the schedule game, right? Win, win, loss, 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 win, win. Well, for the Buckeyes, on the road at Penn State is going to be their toughest challenge. And here, we'll look at it right now. We'll just pull it up. They beat Nebraska today 52-17. At Penn State next week. Home against Rutgers, blowout. At Maryland. And I know a couple of years ago, it was a close game. They almost blew it. They'll beat Maryland on the road. Home against Indiana, blowout. At Illinois. Illinois got clobbered by Wisconsin yesterday. They'll beat Illinois. Michigan State. New coach Mel Tucker on the road at Michigan State. That's the one game where I will say this. That's the one game where the following week is Michigan. You're looking ahead. You're peeking ahead. You're on the road. Might be bad weather. That's the one game I would circle other than Penn State on December 5th to watch out for, going on the road at Michigan State. Now, I'll be honest with you. I haven't studied Michigan State. I have no idea whether they're good or bad. I couldn't name you 2 players from Michigan State yet. But think about Iowa a couple of years ago. Think about Purdue a couple of years ago, right? Who thought they were going to go there and lose those games? So that one, I'm circling now. Road game. I need to find out more about Michigan State. And the following week is Michigan. So you don't want to be caught peeking ahead, which they could happen. So, but up to that point, yeah, so I got Penn State next week. The trap game at Michigan State. Then you got Michigan at the end of the year. But I'll be honest with you. I'm expecting 8-0 and playing Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, beating Wisconsin, and being one of the final 4 teams for the college football playoffs. Let's see here. DJ Crozier. Great work, Kenny. Go Browns. Your Steelers going to lose to Tennessee. It's going to be a tough game for the Steelers. We're going to find out. That's really their toughest test to this point. The Browns didn't provide much of a test. Did not provide much of a test last week, 38-7. So, yeah, it's going to be a good test for the Pittsburgh Steelers next week, or I should say next week, this Sunday, D. So thanks for the heads up on that. Speaking of the Browns, almost forgot to tell you guys this. Some of you already know. Others don't. What we're doing today, the Buckeye postgame show, we do it after the Browns game as well. So tomorrow, after the Browns and the Bengals, and the Browns, I picked the Browns to win tomorrow. What did I have them winning? 34-24. I've got the Browns winning tomorrow, 34-24. So after that game is over, after Baker beats Burrow and the Browns get 2 wins, sweep the season series in the Battle of Ohio, we'll have the Browns postgame show, and we'll answer your questions and react to your comments, and I'll give you my thoughts as well. So Saturday, we've got Royal Docks Brewing Company, Buckeyes postgame show. We're brewed by Royal Docks. After Ohio State's done, come to Facebook, come to Twitter, send me your questions, your comments, and we're working on getting you in the room with me. We will split the screen and put you up on video. We're working on that. Hopefully that'll come next week. All right? So that's Saturday, and then Sunday, the Browns post-game show, and we'll do the same thing there. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, let's wrap this baby up. Win number 1 in the books for Ohio State. Final score, 52-17. They beat Nebraska. Justin Fields showing you why he's arguably the best player in the country, or if not the second best player in the country, behind Trevor Lawrence. All that Justin Fields did, you can see it on the bottom of the screen right there, 20 of 21 passing, 276 in the air, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 54 yards rushing and a touchdown, no fumbles. He was sacked 3 or 4 times. Garrett Wilson, stud at wide receiver, 129 yards and a touchdown grab. Olave, let's hope he's not hurt. Let's hope it's not a concussion. He had over 100 yards. And I got to give one more shout out on that catch, the catch of the game. Here it is, to Jackson Smith in Jigba. I hope I got that right. I said it right earlier. Great touchdown catch, getting that foot in the end zone there. And, oh, wait, we got to give one more. I haven't given a shout out here, or a tip of the cap, or a cheers, and a raise of the glass on the fumble recovery for the touchdown. Let's see. Where is this fumble? Concussion, hurt? No. Scoop and score. See, it's my handwriting there. Scoop and score. And that goes to Jonathan Cooper, tip of the cap and a cheers for creating the fumble. And Seven Banks, 55-yard touchdown return on the scoop and score for a defensive touchdown for the Buckeyes. So good to see the defense, even though they gave up yards, let's see, how many yards before we get out of here? Total yards given up by the Buckeyes defense today. In the team stats, final look at them. Gave up 210 rushing, 160 passing, so 370 yards, 17 points. Not bad, as who was it? Frank Salona pointed out. You hold somebody to 17 points in college football, it's pretty good this year. Buckeyes, 491 total yards, 276 passing, 215 rushing. Hey, they rush for 200 a game and throw for about 300 a game. I'll be very happy with that. To me, that's balanced, and that's getting you 8-0 and playing in the Big Ten championship game. So I also like that the Buckeyes only had 3 penalties for 15 yards. I thought that was impressive, and they only had 1 turnover, and they created 2 turnovers. Time of possession, they won that battle as well today. So it should be a lot of fun doing this each and every week. Spread the word. And if you're in the Canton-Massillon area and you're looking for a place to grab a cold one, no doubt about it, you got to stop into Royal Docks. A couple of locations out there now. And grab an ice cold brew, whatever your flavor is, whatever your, choice is. They've got great beers to pick from. I know we did a couple of things with them on remote and had a lot of fun with them. And we're happy to have them on board as our sponsor, one of the sponsors for the Ohio State Buckeyes postgame show. So we'll be brewed each and every week by Royal Docks Brewing Company, 7162 Fulton Drive Northwest, Jackson Township, 5646 Wales Avenue, Northwest Massillon. You can check them out online, too, at www.docks.beer. So thanks to them and John Bickus for being a part of this post-game show. Buckeyes get a win in week number 1, 52-17 over Nebraska. Next week, it's on to Happy Valley and Penn State. Tune into the Kenny and JT show as we get you ready for it. And then after the game, come back right here to the Buckeyes post-game show, and we'll talk about it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the Browns game tomorrow, and we'll see you back here after that game, and then next week after the Buckeyes Penn State game.